This video is going to be a little different. I'm going to do a chart on a star, and I'm going to show you something. Or actually on a planet, not a star. We look at them as stars though, reflecting lights. Pluto. Pluto entered Virgo to the minute, on November the 19th, 1967 at 3:46 in the morning, Pacific Coast time. This generation of Pluto and Leo, this is the minute that Pluto was born into Virgo. So we're looking at the generation, the collective subconscious of the generation born with Pluto in Virgo. Venus is debilitated here. Y'all will suffer with your heart. You really will. You just will. For different reasons, but nonetheless, you're going to have a hard time. Mercury is in Libra, not in Virgo. So he's not exalted. Are either one of them retrograde? No. The sun is in Libra, considered the sign of balance. You know, that's an old legend, and that goes back to when Libra was in the spring and fall equinoxes, and that's no longer true. Now it's over here. So you can see how old that story is. It's no longer balanced, it's unbalanced. That's why they show us the scales unbalanced and she's blind when Libra is masculine. Mars, actions. Your actions are humanitarian. Your actions are led by your philosophy and your ideology. This is cool. Saturn in Pisces. Your lesson to learn is the church, religion, illusion, delusion, this whole age. This is the red letter church. This is the Old Testament church and the New Testament church. That's why you're here. You come off as Masonic, wouldn't you say? A bunch of you are hermits. You don't fit in the other groups. Pluto and Leo was the boomers. Then we had the Pluto and Virgo generation. When the planets are on the mutable cross, that's the generation that brings about the change. You're it. It's your collective subconscious that will be manifesting in 2020. It's what you were born to do. But you've been hijacked. You've been jacked on high. Jack's on hijacked. Now, to me, the 9/11 ritual was part of that. Let's look at, you have 9, which in Roman numerals is IX. You have 11, which is XI. 10 is X. X is the feminine chromosome, or the woman. Right? Remember, this is the woman with the alabaster box. And this is the woman. Your generation's been skipped over. And it was a massive ritual that did it, because now they have X men. And a man is Y chromosome. And why? The heavens are still asking. But nonetheless, to me, that when you look at things from a Pluto perspective, from a subconscious perspective, from a universal perspective, that's all symbolism. It doesn't have anything to do with anything else. It's pure symbolism. Like alchemy. Alchemy to me was the first language. It's an alchemical language. It's a language of symbols that's known universally. And once you learn them, you start seeing everything in a different way. And I mean everything. You get this whole new pair of eyes. whole new pair of ears. You hear different, you see different when you learn this language. There's a statement in the Bible that in the end, God would restore to them a more perfect language. The Israelis today, Ben Gurion gave them their Hebrew they have today, their restored language. No, I believe it's alchemy. Alchemy is the restored language, because once you learn it, you see how perfect it is. Then even when they start perverting it, you start seeing it instantly. My brain loved highlights and Sesame Street and search a word and all kind of stuff growing up. I loved puzzles. I loved mysteries. So I'm always searching a thing out. I want to know its root. And then before the root, well, where did the seed come from that produces this root? And you just keep digging. And to me, I dug and dug and dug and went down many, many rabbit holes. But when you start digging alchemically, different outcome. No more rabbit holes. If a rabbit hole, you just go down the hole and come out the other side, right? You're still in the same field. When I lived on the reservation in Oklahoma, I had a family of prairie dogs out in the field in front of my house. And they would drive the dogs crazy, because they'd poke their little heads up and the dogs would run and start digging, and then the prairie dog would pop up about 20 feet away watching the dog dig. And it was hilarious watching it happen. But when you start digging alchemically, it's just one treasure after another. So looking at it from a subconscious, symbolic perspective, this is the symbols we come up with. And linguistically as well. But they're skipping over your generation. That's why we don't see this generation. It's been silenced. It's been subdued. Because, and they think they're handing off 2020 to what we would call the cancel culture here, right? Cancel culture. The emo generation, the millennials. But that ain't happening. I don't care what they do. It belongs to this generation, and it's being done subconsciously. I believe that's really a lot of my part here. Let me back up and punt. Jeffrey Wolf Green, my favorite astrologer. He's a Vedic astrologer. I love his story more because I know what it feels like. When I hear his story, it helps me to relate on how all this happened to me. Because I would have laughed you into oblivion if you had ever told me I would be an astrologer. But he was in Vietnam. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He was in Vietnam, and he came out of the war really disillusioned. He was really against the war. So he joined the church and became a monk. And in his spiritual quest, astrology came up with one of his instructors. And he laughed, as I would have laughed at his Monsignor, as to it was hocus pocus. And his instructor asked him, well, what do you know about astrology? Have you ever read anything on it? And he said no, he had not. And so he went to the little bookstore and got one little paperback book, read it on astrology, and he went and quit the ministry and began to learn Vedic astrology. And I have my issues with Vedic astrology and with tradition. But there's something to learn in everything. For me, this is alchemy. It's a more refined state of the same thing, right? It's like his views on Pluto are different than mine. But that doesn't make either one of us right or wrong. It's simply a different perspective from a different science. Look at it that way, right? but I adore him. He's so spot on in everything he does. I highly recommend all of his work. I have a playlist of all of his videos on YouTube that I could find. You'll find it in my created playlist, Jeffrey Wolf Green. And I recommend this book to all of you who are born with Pluto and Virgo. He talks about Pluto and all the constellations, but predominantly Pluto and Virgo. Now, I have, like I said, my views about what Pluto's purpose is, or journey of the soul, is different than his. But they go together like cake and icing, okay? They're the same thing. A cake has different parts. So I highly recommend this. I want everybody to learn to do the alchemy, to learn the symbols. Let's just jump right into that while we're here. Let me pause. Okay, I got a lot of comments and questions in the comments about what these symbols actually should be. And pretty much, it's really simple. It's just you're so used to seeing the different symbols combined. All of the ones below this line, this is his right and his left. So on his right, all three of those have a triangle pointed up, and it's yellow. Okay? And let's just do it that way. Draw the red line. Yellow. All of these have a yellow triangle pointed up, and it's fire. Right? Fire. That's Leo, Aries, and the Sun. The Sun is Leo, Aries is Mars, and Sagittarius is Jupiter. The same three. I can't do white because I'm on white. I should have filled in the back colors. So for white, I'm going to use gray or silver because it's silver and gold, right? Yellow and white stand in the place of the metals of silver and gold. So you can use golden fire and silver water. So this side has a water symbol, and it's silver or white, and it's pointed downwards for water. Together, for this fire and ice magic, you would have that symbol. Silver pointed down, gold pointed up. That's this magic. And that's for all three of them. And the moon here as well. The moon being the silver part and the sun being the golden part. Just like Saturn. Saturn carries two symbols, Aquarius and Capricorn. But he's one. The same with the sun and the moon. And for the top, all of the top, they have a red pointed up. This is masculine side, feminine side. It's air. Venus in Libra, Mercury in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius. And over here, it's Earth, and it's a black triangle pointed down. Together, you have the black triangle with the red over the top of it. This is heaven on earth. This is the battle of fire and ice. This goes on below. This is fleshly. This is spiritual. This is terrestrial. This is celestial. Did that make sense? This one, each of them have a masculine and a feminine. So, whoops. That should be. You can look at them all as a set of circles within themselves. And then this one. Whoops. Water, water, water. And let's write in blue. So top, Saturn is going to rule Aquarius. I'm just going to put AQ, and Capricorn, feminine. Gemini, Mercury is going to rule Gemini and Virgo. Venus is going to rule Libra in air, and Taurus and Earth, the Tau. The Sun rules Leo, and the Moon rules Cancer. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and fire, and Pisces in water, and Mars in fire of Aries, and the water of Scorpio. Alright, that's the symbols. They're proper colors, they're proper shapes, and you'll see them in many, many different things. The problem we have right now are the spirals, especially the counterclockwise ones. Remember, counterclockwise is really our day-to-day lives, but the big picture, what we're watching, goes this way. It's clockwise. It's clockwise. And wise is, I love wise. Let's do wise. W is the symbol for magic. Wise is magic eyes. And you have to poke out these two eyes to see with the third eye and the higher self. You close your ears and your eyes. It's magic eyes. But all of this symbolism is important for the most of all. Oops, I got to do this. My Pluto in Virgo generation we started at the beginning of 1967. Let's carry that through. And why this is important for you to know. All of the symbols. I've done the videos with the charts. I've done all your homework. You just have to go memorize it. That's all you have to memorize to get wise. You want your magic eyes, you have to memo your eyes. Memorize. Alright, let's take him forward until the end of that generation. Right there. Sorry. October the 5th, 1988. It's 7:08 in the morning. That generation from 1967 to 1988. It's your ball game. It's your time. Don't manifest the monsters of the id. You need the correct symbolism because Pluto, the universe, does not speak in language. And that's what I've been telling you about branding, and stop buying name branded things with these messed up logos on them. Look at the change in corporate logos on what they call the Mandela effect alone. Just that alone. I should probably do a video on it, on the befores and after, and the alchemical change that occurred. That this is, I'm seeing into a world that is all around us. It's called nature. Look, this magic circle called the Zodiac, this alchemical magic circle, is nature. This is the way nature works. Earth, water, air, fire. It runs in cycles. And we can, it's better than any scientific experiment. Mankind has been keeping up with this and relating it to the stars. Just, we've been here for so long. We should have already memorized this. Memory. Again, the stars that are connected to Aquarius are all about memory. I have a playlist. Bill Donahue has a channel. He's done it all in the Greek. And I love his work, but he didn't make those tight connections of Fomalhaut because he doesn't understand the Arabic. He doesn't know it's Bethlehem. He doesn't know it's Thalem. But he knows it's connected to the third eye because everything in the Greek tells him it is. And the names of the stars in the Greek tell you of the hippocampus and the thalamus. And the hippocampus is Pegasus, and that's your memory. And in symbology, the symbol for your memory is a white winged horse. That's your memory. A lot of times, what is it? TriStar Studios comes on with the winged Pegasus horse. And it's a trigger. These symbols, these movie studio symbols are there to trigger. And it's like Lionsgate. They're going to tell you the frickin' stories from that age of the Lion's Gate. That's its magic. That's what its script, its priest, its sorcerers, its guild does. And they each do it. I've just been watching them all. Just watch and learn. Watch and learn. That's what you're here to do. If nothing else, you leave with knowledge. And that's the only thing you can take with you is your hippocampus, your white horse, your memories. And they all come flooding back when you die. The good, the bad, the ugly. All of them. So, if you don't want to have to relive something over and over again in your memory, then simply don't do it in the first place. Or rectify it. Right now, there needs to be rectification. Because we have Pluto with Saturn in Jupiter's house of ideology, and Jupiter's coming. Jupiter's coming to this party. And we need everybody that's, especially Pluto and Virgo people. You're on my channel for a reason. You need to wake up to that fact too. And watch when Jupiter comes over here, the battle begins. This is a war. And it's happening in the heavens that will translate down here on the planet. That's crucial information you need to know. As above, so below. When Jupiter and Saturn enter this same house and start doing this celestial dance all through 2020, the whole way through, and they end up in Saturn's house of Capricorn, which tells us who wins because Jupiter's debilitated there. But nonetheless, desire loses. So you need to store your treasures in heaven. You need to store your treasures above the red line. Don't bank on materialism. Don't bank on your feelings. Don't bank on your desires or what power you think you have. That's only power of the body. Mind over matter. Remember, they have us in an upside down world. You got to stand on your head to get anything done, right? Okay. that's going to close out this video. I believe I said what I wanted to say.